beautiful fall day in the city of Boston, Massachusetts, sometimes known as the cradle of liberty. And the reason Boston is known as the cradle of liberty is because in this very place, Faneuil Hall, in the mid-1700s, meetings and protests and demonstrations were held that led ultimately to the American Revolution and to the independence of our country. Not so long after that independence was obtained, speaking about the United States and its democratic institutions, a great 19th century statesman said, "This lovely land, this glorious liberty, these beneficial institutions, the dear purchase of our fathers, are ours. Ours to enjoy, ours to preserve, ours to transmit. Generations past and generations to come hold us responsible for this sacred trust." That was the eloquence of Daniel Webster, who soon thereafter became a United States Senator from Massachusetts, and he spoke those words from this very spot in Faneuil Hall, and you can see him in action right there. So, it is indeed appropriate that we are all assembled here in Faneuil Hall, the cradle of liberty, and the site of great oratory over the years, to celebrate your naturalization as United States citizens. And to continue on this patriotic theme, I want to consider just for a few minutes the related concepts of privilege and responsibility. It is a privilege of those of us who have been born citizens to welcome all of the diversity and talents that you bring to us from your lands and cultures to add to the mosaic that makes up our great country. And it is a privilege that has been bestowed upon you today as you join this unique experiment in democracy that we call the United States of America. But as much as this day is to acknowledge our mutual privilege, it is also a day to be mindful of our mutual responsibility. For with every privilege comes an equal measure of responsibility. The responsibility of your new country is to offer you what it has offered every immigrant who has come to these shores since the Pilgrims landed at Plymouth Rock a few miles down the coast from here nearly 400 years ago. Freedom and opportunity, nothing less and nothing more. It is not the responsibility of your new country to guarantee your happiness or wealth or a free ride, but only the opportunity to make a better life for yourself and for your families. And that's where your responsibility comes in. You are first and foremost responsible for yourselves, for learning and obeying the laws, for contributing something to this society and to our community. And by contributing, I do not mean something monetary. I mean by presenting through your God-given talent, hard work, and moral persuasion that you bring from your places of origin, something to add to the treasure of this country so that the whole of this group will add up to much more than the sum of the individual parts that you each represent. You are responsible to perform your civic duties, of serving your country when and if it needs you, and of serving on juries when and if you are called, and of being good citizens all the time. These are not passive responsibilities. They involve work on your part. These are troubling times that you have chosen to become a citizen of this great country. We are experiencing economic difficulties these days, and we are still at war in Central Asia and are engaged in the difficult struggle to help two war-torn countries, Iraq and Afghanistan, become democracies. People are dying so that others might have the right to vote in free elections. Here in the United States, we don't have to pay such a high price to exercise our privilege to vote, but it is just as important to our existence as a democratic nation as it is to the people of wannabe republics. Indeed, one of our great civic privilege is our right to vote, But it is not only a privilege, it is a solemn responsibility. Now I'm going to say something that may sound shocking to you at first. You should not vote until you've done something else first. It is your duty first to become informed about the issues, to become informed about the candidates and about the public offices for which they stand, and then, and only then, to vote. Democracy is not a spectator sport. It is something in which every citizen needs to participate as an informed voter, yes, but also as someone who speaks out on important issues, someone who may work on ballot questions or for candidates for public office, and ultimately, perhaps, but certainly not out of the question, running for public office yourself. We need citizens who are interested and take part in our government. Politics is not to be ridiculed. It is our lifeblood, and we demean it at our peril. And finally, in this regard, I want to close by reference to the cornerstone document upon which our democracy is founded, the United States Constitution. I do so because it is the Constitution that provides us with the principles by which we have been able to establish a freer, fairer, and more inclusive society. And I think it helps all of us to be reminded of the genius of the Constitution from time to time, and so I'm going to read just the preamble of that historic document. Listen carefully to what it says. We, the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and to our posterity, do ordain and establish this Constitution for the United States of America. Notice we did not ordain and establish a Constitution of the United States of America. We ordained and established a Constitution for this country and for every single one of its citizens. All of the privileges and responsibilities afforded by our Constitution are there for you. Take advantage of them and take responsibility for them. Make Faneuil Hall the site of one more meaningful event, your naturalization. Inspire us by your example, by your accomplishments as you take your rightful place by our side, and prove to us once again that the American dream is alive and well, and that it does not matter where you come from. It matters only where your ambition, your perseverance, and your courage will take you.
That's
I
right.
bid you Godspeed again, and congratulations.